This is a TPIM SR live short. Enjoy the clip.
Coon Busters. This is Dr. Randy Short. It is March the 14th, 5:16 p.m. 2020, and I'm just self-quarantining for right now. Coon Busters, Coon Busters, Coon Busters, my brothers and sisters. I was talking about Andrew Gillum last week. I'm not happy at all. I feel sorry for his wife and children. I feel sorry for black folks who need leadership, for black folks who get betrayed. They have so much faith in these Democrat, promosexual phonies who aren't talking about cut the check and letting our people out of jail and stopping the oppression and the militarization of Africa and the militarizations of our communities and the exploitation of people in Haiti and the Caribbean and in the Oceania, West Papua, and the Solomon Islands. I mean, writ large, black folks under assault. Wednesday last week, maybe about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I was watching CNN and I saw a man that I did not know as a commentator, and whether I can show how Bakari Sellers, I think it's like a cousin on my grandmother's side because they have the same last name, and he's in South Carolina and we're in Georgia, and there was just one family, 20 plus 100 plus 170 years ago. There was only one family named Sellers, spelled with a Z, anywhere in the southern United States. And they were all originally from Pennsylvania. They moved south in the 1770s. And this is part of our family history. And so I'm just saying Bakari Sellers is someone I think is cousin. I saw him. I was pissed because he's a prima donna with a DUI record. And they kind of snooty. I mean, his father was a phenomenal civil rights person, but that was back then. So I saw Bakari. I was annoyed. And then I saw a man I didn't know. He's black. And I couldn't figure out who it was until they said it was Andrew Gillum. He had lost a significant amount of weight. His complexion looked different, all of his stuff. And his hair, you could see he was losing hair, and there was something wrong with his hair, his scalp. I've been telling y'all a lot of times when people have a lot of VD or taking anti-AIDS or drugs to fight a venereal disease, that the drugs cause hair loss or cause a glassy spottiness on the scalp. And this is what I saw on Andrew Gillum. And I was like shocked. Plus he was flaming. He could have been a flamethrower or napalm. And I called one of my fellowship people to say, please turn on the TV. Watch CNN. I know she hates CNN, but tell me that I'm being harsh. Tell me that I'm being harsh. Tell me that I'm being unfair. Tell me that I'm judging Andrew Gillum, from some homophobia, whatever lens. Just look and tell me, doesn't he look sick to you or look odd compared to 2018? It brings me no great joy to see people caught up in drugs or LGBT or any of that. My parents worked in drug rehab. I grew up with folks dying from AIDS and all that. It makes me depressed. I'm not happy when someone is in that. I'm sad. I may talk about it, I may joke about it. It's a way of coping because you understand. Peace, how you doing? Cousin Austin, we'll have a conversation about that in the future. It brings me no joy. If you really know what goes with this stuff that they're promoting is just wonderful and great, it's death. It causes someone like Andrew Gillum to leave a fine ass wife and 3 kids and be in a hotel room with the crystal meth porn deviant. When you got that nice black wife and kids, this thing is like a vacuum, a demonic vacuum tube. It sucks people in, and it destroys them. You know, when a vacuum cleaner sucks up something, you have to empty the vacuum out. Normally, it's a whole bunch of shit in a bag you dump out, and you repeat the process and suck up something else new. This is what this LGBTQ thing does. I've seen people drawn into it, and it just tears them up. And there's a lot of pride. I guess there's some fun. I mean, it's fun. I'm not trying it, but there's a pleasure that people derive from it. But in exchange for the pleasure, they lose everything. Their dignity, their bearing, the relationship with God, their families, all of that for an asshole, or to swallow some sperm, or to have your butthole licked. All of this, to lose all of that for some odd, off-the-wall fetish sex. They're pushing this stuff to kill people's souls, for them to get diseased, for them to get infected, for the man who's supposed to become a father and a husband to misdirect him. And I'm certain people can enjoy anything. People can enjoy getting beat and tortured and have cigarettes put out on them, but should you do it? Andrew Gillum is not alone. I would suggest to you that most of the blacks you see in media, many of the blacks that you see in religious authority, many of the blacks that you see in the civil rights establishment, many of the blacks you see in the CBC, the NAACP, the National Action Network, Black Lives Matter, for that matter, ADOS, and other things, a lot of the people that are up at the top are sexually compromised. And look, it isn't that you can't stand up for black people and be in this sexual confusion, but these days people don't. It's interesting, white sodomites fight for white rights. Latino sodomites fight for immigration rights. Asian Pacific sodomites fight for trade and economic rights. Black sodomites fight to be fuck toys of racist white men and women. And black folks be damned. That's treason. If in my book, James Baldwin sucked white men's penises and he spoke out against racism. He got screwed in the behind by white men and spoke out against injustice, risked his life. I can disagree with how James Baldwin got down, but when it came to black people, you know, he told the truth with the white dick in his mouth. How come our black LGBTQs can't tell the truth with the black dick in their mouths, or black vagina in their mouth, eating some black beaver, pork chop feminist? Why can't you do that? And I think that's why our community has to have a much tougher line on the sexuality issue. Not because we can't deal or cope or we care what people do in their bedrooms, but the problem is they're concerned about what our children will do in their bedrooms. They are willing to work with the most racist, white liberal monsters that want every black baby dead. They want every black man castrated and mutilated into a tranny. They want every black family destroyed. They want every black man replaced in a job by an illegal. And they're screwing the illegals too. They want to screw the kids in foster care. This is a complete war on our soul. You can't even believe in God based on the Bible, if you're a Christian, to suit someone that likes licking the poo-poo out of the crack of their boyfriend's behind. Am I bullying someone to say, you do that and let me follow Jesus over here? You feel like you're persecuted? Or is it because you're wicked? Is it because there's something Luciferian and satanic about this? And is this LGBTQ, the rainbow flag everywhere, the mark of the beast that the Revelations talks about? Look at how it's forced on everything, how it has to be everywhere. You can't not do this. No hatred here. I love my god brother named Willie. I think Willie got molested by boyfriends of his mother. It ruined him. I know a lot of guys I grew up with, they were molested. They ended up dying from AIDS in their 20s, 30s. I didn't hate them. I loved them. I missed them. I saw the good in them. I saw the value that they had, their talents, their abilities. And then I saw their dreams destroyed by this LGBTQ stuff, by pedophilia. And this is why you hear me bitching so much. I'm angry. It's, hey, how you doing, Latoya? I feel violated. When these folks were molested, I was young. I couldn't do anything to stop it. And now I see a whole move like never before to not do individuals, but to do a whole people, to do generations, to do the unborn, everybody. This is a Luciferian declaration of war against black folk. And we're going to have to raise up on these people and fight back. And yes, I'm a Christian. All things are possible with God in the Bible. For all the Muslims out there, frankly, I don't see y'all offering any leadership. In particular, I've seen a retreat from taking a stand on the LGBTQ jihad against black folks, Nation of Islam, and all of them put together. I don't see y'all doing nothing. I don't see the Buddhists doing nothing. I don't see the Rosicrucians doing nothing. I don't see the Greeks doing nothing. I don't see the Masons doing nothing. I don't see anybody. I see a handful of people who are Bible believers saying no. That's it. And the conscious community, y'all lie. I know some good folks who are trying, the conscious community, but where's your Bible? Where's your scripture? Where's the ultimate authority that tells people that they can't do these things? It doesn't exist. And so you can tell me about the Book of the Dead and Ma'at, but we have more Ma'at and more of this stuff. We have more African spirituality, but how come all the little fake-ass African spirituality people never really come true? For example, if you're in the Santeria or Candomblé or any of that, do you know that they have gods that are pansexual, like Obatala, which is basically a hermaphrodite bisexual god in the Yoruba pantheon? For me, the Kemetic folk aren't really showing me that they'll take a stand to this. In fact, they've made peace with it. And by the way, I can't read all the hieroglyphics, so I don't know. And you can't prove to me that people in Egypt didn't do this stuff too. Because every empire that goes up and goes down, they usually go down for the same reasons, right? So you're going to tell me, Mr. Ankh Kun, that not one person gave another person a blowjob in ancient Egypt? Really? When brothers and sisters were marrying each other, they had incest, royal incest in ancient Egypt. Yeah, they did. Brothers and sisters screwing each other. Fathers and daughters screwing each other. Yes, they did. If you did that, you mean not a blowjob. All the little priests in ancient Egypt that weren't married to women didn't screw each other. You know how everyone says that the Catholic Church borrowed everything from Africa and ISIS was, okay, well, that ISIS and all that stuff you're talking about, they were dykes and they were into this stuff. So all the little conscious community people, y'all are helping the LGBTQ community. Yes, I blame you The same way I would blame the church when they become gay affirming. The only difference is I can go right to the Bible and attack what the church does wrong. When it comes down to all you folks and these little cultic religions, there's no scripture, there's no authority, there's no canon, there's nothing other than what one person says to the next person says, meaning that each person is their own God. And I don't believe that. I'm nobody's God. I'm a flawed human being saved by grace. Okay, that's just real. And I just want to say to you that Andrew Gillum isn't alone. And by the way, the Catholic Church with the priests molesting people, do you really think they started with Roman Catholicism? Roman Catholicism is a continuation of Mithraism. Mithraism is a continuation of Isis worship. Isis comes from Africa. All you Kemetic folk will know Isis comes from Africa. Mithraism had lesbianism, temple prostitution, female as God, and penis worship. And so whether you're in, I'm not saying all the Catholics do it. Certain people really are looking for Jesus in the Catholic Church. But the stuff that you don't like about the Catholic Church has its origins. Go in their basement, in their vaults, and you look at their gods. They're painted black. Yes, they're copying what black people in antiquity did. Everybody black wasn't righteous according to the scriptures. Only the people who were connected to Jehovah God really knew what it was about. And the folks connected to Jehovah God didn't even follow what Jehovah God wanted, which is why Jesus came around. That's real talk, folks. Now, I only want to say this. I don't have to. Jones, I don't give a damn whether I've studied Kemet or not. I don't have to. I've studied Egyptian history enough to know that pharaohs and families had royal incest. I don't have to know the ancient languages. I love the bullshit game that folks have to know all these ancient languages to call a spade a spade. Show me, prove to me that human beings of all of a sudden, over the last 500 years, started doing the stuff that they do now. No, ignorance, my friend, is trying to make people follow the bullshit you're on, claiming that it's something new. It's old. If Egypt was so wonderful, if all that Egyptian stuff was so great and powerful, yeah, but what was Pharaoh? What was Pharaoh building? I mean, I'm not knocking the pyramids. They're nice. They're beautiful. They were places that generated power. No, I'm not ignorant. I'm not afraid of God. You are. Brother Jones, our people being led to hell by the Ankh coons. The more of this stuff that pours into our community, the crazier we get. That's what I've been able. Probably lived longer than you. And it's interesting. Black studies has been destroyed. It was opposed all over the country, academically and otherwise. But they supported Egyptology. In fact, the main people pushing this whole Egypt thing, who's that fool? The government agent who started Kwanzaa. His name is escaping me. He's a government agent. Kwanzaa was started by a man that helped exterminate the Black Panthers. This is a fact. The people didn't like the reality that when you had thinking folks acting on Christianity has not been around for forever. It's new. It's got 2,000 years or less. In fact, the term is only 2,000 years, if that. I love all of these things. Horus is not Jesus. No, most people aren't Christians. Jones, you don't know what Christianity is, and you can read English. I'm not trying to sit down and learn hieroglyphics to know who God is. That's a scam. The same scam that people have where you got to learn Arabic to know who God is. It's a type of control. I don't like coon preachers, and I'm not going to follow coon cultists. They failed us. There's no movement. There's no schools. There's no food. There's no justice. Yeah, Karenga. Karenga was a government agent. The U.S. government funded this whole cultic movement in our country, and they're funding it now. And they're using confused people who genuinely want to be black and proud. Of course, I can work with that, but I'd rather you be God-fearing black and proud. They got into this real crazy stuff. Is there fakeness and racism and abuse in Catholicism and in the white supremacist, apostate, fake Christianity? I'd agree with that. But I love all the folks who are pushing this Kemet thing as if there were no oppressed people in Kemet, as if everything was wonderful with kings and queens. Kings and queens sold us over here. Kings and queens. I don't want any king except for God over me. I don't need any royalty. In fact, that's what's messing black people up. We're looking for something greater than ourselves and other people. You're never going to find it. You're always going to be disappointed. There's just God above all of us, nothing else. If you need to go back 10,000 years, 5,000 years to feel good about yourself, but you don't even know who your great-grandparents are, or your grandparents' grandparents, or your grandparents' great-grandparents, but yet you take so much pride in what another group of people did 6,000, 7,000 years ago, that's weak. I'm not knocking having pride in antiquity, but isn't it interesting? A lot of folks who are kind of jive. Let me just get into this. In the 60s, everybody black was proud of the Niger River civilizations. But because in reality, a lot of people had an inferiority complex about being black, and since white people didn't respect Songhai and the Masi states, and what's this other place, Mali and Ghana, and all the other little kingdoms that were there, Akan and Bornu, and the House estates and so forth. Black folks looking to validate themselves because they feel inferior and ungrateful to God for who and what they are. They decided we have to have the Nile Valley, which of course I say the people in the Nile Valley are black. They're black now. But where were we pulled from? Honestly. Now, I've done DNA. I know where my folks are from. I come from the first certified black genealogist in the country. I grew up with this. Unlike a lot of folks whose family systems are so destroyed, they've got to have some imaginary concept of who and what they are. I pity them. I understand they want to feel like they're somebody, and that's important. But they get these fictive things, and they're all gods. All these gods that can't pay a car note or pay a traffic ticket, can't pay a light bill, can't pay child support, but they're a god. It's stupid. It's laughable. Be a god when the cop shoots your child or shoots your neighbor's kid down the street and solve that problem. In fact, if you're a god, free black folks or get a reparations check. It's not happening. It's not going to come through some god whose real name is James LaFleur, who calls himself Akhenaten Superbad, a Horus. Silly. It's childish. They're sick, imaginary, foolish people. And yeah, the Christian church, which there's very little. The scriptures say that most people on a wide path to hell. I would say many people that you see going to church are on their way. I'm not happy for them. And the narrow path, very few people are on it. By the way, on that wide path are all the other little cultist Negroes, the seeing eye people. In fact, since this Egyptian thing is so wonderful to us, how come the white people dominate Masonry? And they're the ones killing and oppressing and enslaving us. Okay, so let's get off of that. I want to say to y'all, and I don't sit up worrying about this because I know Egyptians, and I also know Egyptians that want to kill black Americans for going to Egypt. I'm talking about the white, Turkish, Greek ones that have invaded, who hate y'all, that you spend all your money with, because y'all don't go down into the Nubians, the real black folks who are Muslim, who don't even like a lot of their heritage. It's absolutely amazing. Jones, the Hosea, yes, he does. He has a lot to do with this whole movement. Yeah, they do. It's a group of them. They're all funded and supported and helped. They want to get rid of absolute beliefs in God in our community by getting us to look back into the past instead of having a future-oriented mindset as a people. And the fact that we obsess on what people did thousands of years ago. Okay, no, there's a record of Jesus. Luciferian, Black as Jones. Luciferian, Jesus existed. Okay, what does not exist is a definitive link between the black people in the United States and ancient Egypt. That doesn't exist. Now, did we move maybe 4, 5, 6,000 years ago? Maybe. It's reasonable. However, right now, I bet you my last dollar, you can't go back 5 generations in your family to know whether you were white or not. And definitely a whole bunch of us have white ancestry that definitely didn't come from Kemet, had no connection to Kemet whatsoever. It's a fraud. It's a sham. It's a scam. And it's sad that people feel so bereft of any value because they bought into white supremacy until they have to go back 5,000 years to find an identity. Even Eskimos, who haven't done anything that I'm aware of other than make it as people, don't need to go back 10,000 years to feel like they have worth. So the damaged, crushed, weak pride, ego, and id of black folks in America makes them so psychotic that they got to get this stuff that's long ago, but they don't like their own grandparents or their great grandparents. The scriptures tell us to honor our fathers and mothers. We dishonor our fathers and mothers. We don't want their names. We don't want their legacy. We want another group of people's identity to replace who we actually are. That's an act of disrespect and dishonor and ingratitude towards our true ancestors, the people who are actually in your genetic line, which most of us don't want to know. Most of us don't research. Most of us are bored by it. They'll go to Egypt on a jet, but wouldn't go to a courthouse in Alabama. That's despicable. I can't stand stupidity. Everybody that wants to worship 1,000,001 gods, y'all can delete me. I'm going to keep saying the same thing. And by the way, let's see some of this cultic stuff help us. I want to see some of these Ankh people help around black food. I want to see them help some black farmers and do some schools, put up a clinic, do something other than bitch about what you don't like about Jesus. It's useless. Your ideas are useless. And when the cops whip your ass, and when whatever happens, you're going to have to call. If you don't call, maybe you'll end up with the fate that you get. At the end of the day, God is real. You'll need God. And to our rebellious, perverse generation of black folks, the reason we're going down, we've turned our back on God. And the pride that I see, I've never seen that pride manifest into any real, objective, tangible, functional change for our people. Not a damn bit. I've only seen attitude, pride, and denunciations. It's shallow, like its proponents. Who you gonna call? I'm out, coon busters. And yes, Ankh coons, Kemet coons, cult coons, Hebrew Islamic coons, all you coons, and these stupid religions that are dumber than the stupid crap I hate in church. Y'all are failures, and y'all are contributing to the downfall of our people. Bye.
Thank you all for watching this show. Live your life with integrity without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, brothers and sisters, please, 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 let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace and power, unity and victory, dignity and respect, liberation. I'm out. And check me out on Patreon. Peace.